I just think everything about this book was so chaotic, so crazy.
She's not okay.
I can't.
She's not okay.
Yikes.
Where are her parents?
That's what I'm saying.
No. Therapy. Please.
All these girls. Welcome to Red Wine Reads, a community of book lovers talking about our favorite and not so favorite books while pouring a glass or two of wine. I'm your host, Jenna Weston, and with me today is Abby Williams. Now, before we start, I should warn you that we do spoil the endings of the books we review, so if you don't like that, then please go finish the book and come right back to this episode. Here's what you can expect from every one of our episodes. We start with a super short 60-second summary, and then some quick facts to get you oriented with the book that we will be reviewing. Then we will answer the question, would you recommend this book? And we will spend the majority of the episode arguing why or why not. We end the show with final ratings out of 5 and pairings, where we pick drinks, TV shows, movies, and other books that might pair well with today's read. Each episode also hosts its own drinking game, so whatever your drink of choice, wine, cocktails, mocktails, coffee, water, we hope that you'll sip along with us. Now, today we are reading The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants by Ann Brashares. If you were like Abby and I and religiously watched this 2005 movie adaptation growing up, then you would also be super excited to read this book. Though we had inklings that it may not have aged as well as we would have liked, and I think those inklings were a little bit true in this episode. So come along on this nostalgic journey with us as we discuss a book that had such a grip on our little adolescent minds and why it may not have aged as well as we would have liked. So without further ado, let's pull some corks and get reading. This week we read The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants by Ann Brashares. Oh, Abby, welcome to another episode of Red Wine Reads. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, Jenna?
Living the dream. Living the dream.
Always. Reading books, talking about them. What could be better?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
That is the correct and only answer, all right?
Well, we are discussing The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants by Ann Brashares, and it'll be an interesting one.
We have some thoughts.
It's definitely nostalgic, bringing back all the feels. But before we start, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm so boring. I'm so sorry. I have a White Claw, pineapple flavored.
I feel like you have White Claws every time. And
I do. It's because it's the only thing in my fridge that I keep on a regular basis. So I'm like, might as well drink it. What are you drinking, Jenna?
I'm also boring today. I'm drinking a Vienna lager from Devil's Backbone.
I feel like that's pretty good. A lager? You just keep those in your fridge?
Yeah.
Couldn't be me.
It's so fall.
Ooh.
Yeah. But it's because I had back-to-back recordings, and so last night, Ella and I discussed Dracula, so I made like a very Dracula-esque cocktail.
Dracula, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. You cannot get more different.
It's quite the month. And then Sierra and I did Assistant to the Villain, so like a romantic kind of Halloween-y book. And then Rebecca and I next week are going to talk about No Longer Human. It's like a book from the 70s, and it is wild.
I'm intrigued already.
Yeah, it hit way harder than I thought it was going to hit.
All right. Subtle plug, but tune in for that.
Tune in for that. But yeah, it's been a fun month of reading, I'll say.
Keeping it spicy.
Well, all right, so drinking game of the evening. I was laughing so hard as I was reading through these. So we'll drink every time we mention how these pants really need to be washed.
Hey, did I mention they need to be washed?
Cheers. Drink anytime we mention B's beautiful long legs and Carmen's fat ass. And then take a drink every time you ever wanted to throw a rock through your parents' window.
Every day.
And drink if you sat there trying to figure out which character you were most alike.
Yeah, did that the whole book. The whole book. I'm like, well, it could be this one, but it could also be this one.
Okay, we'll save it. We'll save it for the end. But I do want to know which one.
All right.
Alrighty, well, 60-second summary.
I'm so ready.
Let's go. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, ready, go. So there's obviously 4 girls who grew up together. They're besties. They spent every summer together, but this is the first summer that they're spending apart. So Tibby's staying at home to work at a boring teenage job. Lena's spending the summer in Greece with her family. Carmen is going to North Carolina to be with her dad. And then Bridget is going to soccer camp. But before they all leave, they found these magical piece of pants that basically fit every single one of them. And as we mentioned, Carmen's fat ass, there's no likelihood that they would fit all of them. So they think that it's, hold on real quick. We think that it's, obviously it's magical because they can't all fit. But the pants, they basically send it to one another in all different locations. And these pants help them get through major things such as, feeling like your dad moved on with a new family, one of your friends dying of cancer, kind of discovering yourself and your first love at the same time, and then also, losing your virginity. So the pants go through it all, only to discover that the real magic isn't the pants, it's the friendship.
That was so good. That was so perfect.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's a
lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into some quick facts. So this book was published in 2001 on 9/11. That is wild to me. Came out.
Yikes. Yeah. I did not realize that.
I didn't either. And then
How old were you? 3?
3.
Yeah, I was 3.
I was just about to turn 3.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. So don't remember it, but wild. This book has a 3.8 out of 5 on Goodreads, a 3.7 out of 5 on the Storygraph. This is book 1 of a 5-book series.
Which, who knew that? I didn't.
Oh, I did. I feel like when I was like a tween and I watched the movie, I thought like, I think I like maybe wanted to go read the books and then never did. But I got really into Angus thongs and full frontal snogging. Like, nice. That was the like tween
that movie alone. See, I didn't read it, but that movie was iconic. Oh my gosh.
So good. It's so good.
Okay, we'll have to review that another time.
I know, we'll have to do that again. Okay, anyways. This quickly became a New York Times bestseller. It was ALA's best book for young adults. It won a Book Sense Book of the Year award. It was a Publisher Weekly Flying Start book choice. So it definitely received a lot of attention. People really liked it. The first book was adapted into a movie, The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, in 2005, starring Blake Lively, America Ferrera,
Alexis Bledel.
Thank you, Alexis Bledel. I was like,
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know Timmy's real name. Sorry.
I don't.
No disrespect.
Yeah, I don't either. But anyways, it was then, there was a sequel, but it kind of just like, the sequel fell very flat. It tried to do kind of what the Percy Jackson movies did, which was like combine all the books into one. Didn't go well. But anyways, that one was released in 2008. Nobody talks about it. So, and then Ann Brashares, I'm sure I'm butchering that last name, but that's what I'm going to call her. She lives in New York City, but she grew up around the DC area. And that is actually one of the things I liked about this book is like, now I know the area that they're from and like all the, the North Carolina of it all. And she is a mother of 4. She married this artist, Jacob Collins. When I first read like artist, I was like, really? And then I looked at his stuff and he's like, actually,
he's
like,
really good.
Yeah, like he's an actual artist. Like,
2 artists in one household.
Yeah. Yeah, one is writing tween.
It's art, Jenna. It is art, okay?
It is. And Sisterhood was her first novel, and then she hasn't published anything since 2017. So she's kind of taken a backseat.
Fair.
Yes or no, would you recommend this book?
No, absolutely not. I'm just saying. The movie is, this is very rare that this happens, but the movie is 100% better. Stick to the movie.
I'm finding that a lot with childhood books.
Yep.
That I come back to.
It's just like funny when you read a book and you're like, I obviously am picturing the movie in my head as I'm reading this, But I'm just like, if I hadn't have done that, like, I don't know if I'd be like, man, this would make a really good film adaptation. Like, I just don't think I would have thought that. So, interesting. But, guys, we just got to talk about this point that Jenna made. I'm just mad after finishing it. What? What?
Yeah, so no, I would not recommend it, in case that was not clear there. So, one, it is a frustrating format, and I actually do think it translates better to screen, because you're literally, like, each chapter has every point of view from every girl, and it only goes on for, like, 3 paragraphs, so it's like, you're just jerking all around the whole story, and you're like, and there's like letters thrown in there, but they're different girls from different girls, and like different stories that aren't pertaining to each other. It's a hot
it's
mess.
A lot. It is.
But like, that's fine. It's a very easy read, so it's not like it was confusing in that sense. Like, Dracula is actually a collection of letters, and that's a hot fucking mess. But this one, but also, I'm getting too in the weeds. I'm mad after finishing it because the girls make terrible decisions. The friendship is very toxic, and there's no way in hell that these pants fit every single one of these girls. Sorry.
Someone's
and you
not
have
a believer in magic.
You have to wash pants.
Dude,
I'm sorry. There is blood on the pants.
Dude, Carmen sat on like a bus bench like all night, and I'm like, dude, you probably sat in urine, like, let's be honest. And then Bridget was like playing scrimmages in them, and I'm like, bro, wash them. Them.
I'm sorry, somebody's gonna get yeast infection.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Anyways, we'll hold. We're getting too into it. Okay, so we'll start with some good things. So what sparkled for you? What did you love?
Okay, so one thing I have to say this. I didn't read this book. I listened to it on audio as an audiobook. And I will say I think that made it better. Like, I actually almost enjoyed all the different perspectives, and it was easier to follow. Like, I knew exactly when it was changing perspectives. And I think that different perspective was actually kind of interesting. I think it actually kept me more engaged, because I do think it was a little bit too easy of a read. I think I would have been super bored had it been like, a full chapter per girl. Also, I think it's just interesting to get 4 very unlikely friends in a friend group. I really like that. They were all very different. I don't know if realistically they would all be friends in real life, but I do like that. I was like, okay, cool. They see past their differences, and they're, they're going to be friends. But let's be honest, the best part of this book, Bailey, period.
Yeah.
She's the best part. She's so bluntly honest. She's actually a good friend, despite all the shit she's going through, facing cancer. She's literally dying. She's the best. She's always talking to people. She's only 12, and she has more wisdom than all of them put together. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if you want a good book about friendship, I think this is a good one. I think just if you have a realistic mind, like Jenna and I do, you're like, well, there's no way in hell that happened. Like, these 15-year-olds are just hopping on international flights by themselves. And I'm like, broskies, where are your parents?
Oh my God. That's so much of the problem I have with this book.
Yeah. But I mean, if we want to talk about friendship, if we want to talk about, different diverse people coming together, overlooking their differences, and it makes them stronger, I think that's, a really good part of this book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do too. Like, I think honestly, like, the general storyline of it, like, I loved that it is talking about coming of age of girls, and talking about coming of age of girls that's not just surrounding a boy. Yes, there is like 2 love-ish stories, but like, it's not like fully encapsulating that, which I did like, because a lot of those books sometimes tend to do that, or they don't even like touch the subject of like sex and girls and like in the relationship. And so I do like that this one kind of was pushing the bounds of that and having it be, yes, like a tween type book, but like, you are talking about kind of more adult topics. And I said I like that they're trying, in italics.
It's an attempt for sure.
To
wouldn't say they were successfully doing it, but
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to tackle, sexual abuse, emotional availability, grief, body positivity, isolation, those like heavy, heavy topics that you're going through, and like issues that a teen is struggling with. But it's everything. I mean, I feel like you kind of have to do it in a book like this, but everything was resolved very quickly. And that is a little not realistic for me, but it was a great try for early 2000s. It was a great try.
I do wonder, like, if she had written this book, maybe post 2010, maybe even like 2020, like, would this be way drastically different? And I think obviously the answer is yes, but for 2000s, I think it was a little bit more progressive than what we were getting at the time.
Yeah. I genuinely think like she did her best in the time that she had, in the time that she was writing from. But it is, it has its issues. But I do like the girls in the group were very distinct, like you said. Like I didn't have a hard time following it. I just think it was like, it was very tough to get like invested in the book because you're just constantly getting pulled into the different narratives. But like, I think each girl had a very distinctive voice, very distinctive like storyline going on. So I do like it. It kept it interesting. Kept it kind of fun. It's I don't know. It's just crazy. Like the actual stories of every girl. Like you have one girl at soccer camp. You have one girl like just visiting her dad. One girl like working like a deadbeat job at a grocery store, and then one going to Greece and like spending the summer with her grandparents that barely speak English. So that's wild.
It's just very interesting. But also, like, didn't you feel like that in high school? You're like, man, I'm just stuck here playing volleyball while my friends are off in Italy, and I'm like, dang it, like that. Some people actually lived that.
Yeah, no, it's so true though. Like you do have friends who like go on an international trip, or you have friends that are like at this camp for weeks at a time. So it's so true. And that's what I like too. And it was just, I think the nostalgic factor, the nostalgia factor was really cool with this book because like I grew up watching this movie so much. Probably have seen it close to 20 to 30 times at this point in my life, probably more. But like I think like that part of it, all I could see were the characters.
Oh, totally. Like, there was no creation of my own in my mind.
No.
Which I think actually all the characters in the movie are very well. Yeah. Well, number one, I don't think Alexis Bledel is actually Greek, and I'm like, why would you do that? That I have issues with, and I think the book Tibby is a little bit different than the movie Tibby. But the other two, American Ferrera and Blake Lively were like perfect for their roles.
Oh yeah. No, I agree. I think Little Miss Rory was definitely not as Greek as they were like a brunette.
Cool. Yeah. Pretty eyes. Cool.
Check. But yes,
kind of boring personality. Check.
Nailed it.
Well then, Jenna, I feel like that gives us a good introduction into everything you hated about this book. So get into it because there's a lot.
All right. I've talked about my formatting issues, so we'll skip that. But real life corner, I have a couple points.
Just a few, again, guys. Just a few.
I realize this is fiction. I do want to preface that. But I also realize that teens and tweens are reading this. And so here's where I need to step in. So first of all, how the heck did Cameron's dad just let her get, like, she throws a rock through a window, runs away, gets on a train, and he's not doing shit.
Stayed at the train station by herself.
Yeah. And, oh my God. And then she, like, comes back on the train by herself. Anyways, terrible. I can't believe that would happen.
Yeah.
Also, how did Lena just yeet right off that plane in LA and go to Baja?
Yeah, literally. And how her parents are just like, yeah, cool. All right.
Baja. Yeah. Like, you're going into Mexico by yourself as a teen. Okay, great. And this is like just when cell phones are becoming a thing.
Mm-hmm. And not to mention the entire book, they're just talking about how freaking beautiful Lena is, or Lena is. So I'm just like, this is not safe.
That girl's gonna get snatched right up.
Yeah,
So
it's fine.
So also we're just not talking about how Tibby befriended this girl, and then the girl died at the end of the summer,
yep.
and we don't talk to Tibby about it.
Not at all. And like honestly, Tibby, okay, guys, I have to mention this. Are we not going to talk about the cat in the freezer?
No, it's a mouse.
A mouse, whatever the frick it is. Are we not going to talk about it? She's not okay. She's not okay.
That's what I'm saying. And they're like, we just don't talk to Tibby about it.
And then she gets up at 4 a.m. in the morning to go to a cemetery to bury the mouse right next to her dead friend who died of cancer. Where are her parents?
She is not okay.
She is not
okay. Okay.
Okay.
So there's that. Also, we just casually have B get absolutely wrecked emotionally by having sex with an older man who, I understand that she was like very in charge of her situation and she wanted it, but also like, ew, dude, you are her coach.
Yep.
I don't care that the age difference is like 3.5 years. No.
Yep.
No. You are in college. She is in high school. Stop.
End of story.
Absolutely not.
End of story.
And also the speech about her being like hot.
Yeah.
He was like, "You're so hot." I said not demure, not very mindful. And then Lena just like again shows up in Baja, not kidnapped at all. And then like she's just like, "Oh, I'm so happy you're here. Everything's great." Like, okay. Yeah. B is also having a very strong traumatic response to losing her mom, and we're not talking about it.
Yep.
And then the last point that is in all caps. Lena's grandparents just accuse this young boy of sexual assault, and then Lena's just like,
I can't correct him now. Shoot.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Was like,
but also with that, I have to say, this bugged me because I feel like the entire time Lena's kind of made to look like the bad person for freaking out about this man she does not know is watching her swim naked. That is an issue.
I would have the same
spot. Yeah, dude, I'd be like, frick, dude, like, get out. Like, so that's also a problem. Like, I feel like we minimize that a little bit. Like, should she have been like, hey, yo, he didn't touch me? Yes. But also, we should have been like, oh, that's kind of creepy. Like, don't love that.
Yeah, like, she could have run in the house and be like, no, he didn't touch me, but he was watching me.
Which, they would have had the same exact reaction, I think. They'd be like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Yeah. Just everything about that.
Yeah, no.
Big no.
Big no.
Yikes. So anyways, that's my real life corner. I just think, like, I'm 26. Most of my frontal lobe has formed.
Yes.
And I just think everything about this book was so chaotic, so crazy. I can't. And I think just also my last 2 points in the real life corner. These pants do not fit everyone. I promise you that.
Yep. 100% does not.
And then like, and it's not like, I could see it being like a baggy pair of jeans and like it also fitting Carmen's fat ass. But
the way they said it's so perfectly shaped, like everything, you're like,
it like shaped everyone perfectly and they were sexy. No, that's not right.
Nope.
And then also, we don't wash these pants.
Yep, disgusting.
It literally has blood, sweat, tears.
And all the other stuff from down there. Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's pants, guys.
Yep.
Like a shirt, still gross, but like not as, that's...
Yeah, it's pretty gross. And they're all still in their formative years, you know what I mean? So I don't know what their bodies are doing.
Yeah.
Well, Jenna, we had a lot of similar things. I just continued on with it. Things that I just...
Let's hear it.
Not just didn't love, like literally I'm sitting here thinking to myself, what in the actual fuck is going on? So Bridget's entire story, I'm just gonna be for real for you. It's just not okay. So not only are we dealing with a 15-year-old sleeping with an 18-year-old,
No, he was 19.
19. Oh my God, even worse.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Ew.
Okay.
Ugh.
But she also comes, like, you kind of mentioned this, like, she lost her mother to suicide. They never explicitly say it, but that is what happened. So she comes from a family of mental illness, and after her whole losing her virginity to an older man, it made her feel empty and horrible and all these things. And she's very obviously in a depressive episode. And you're going to tell me that your best friend brings a pair of pants and shows up in Baja and is like, it'll be okay. That's enough?
And she's like, yeah, you're here.
No. Therapy. Please. Please. We all need
all
it.
These girls.
I'm just sitting here. I'm like, oh my God, like, please get some help, because you are very, very, like, it's very, Bridget's, let's try this, let's do that. She's all bouncing off the walls, like, super, super happy, super whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like this thing, and we're just going to be like, okay, yeah, a pair of pants are going to fix it? No, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
The entire time, I dreaded getting to Carmen's story, because I was just like, this little brat. She hated her mom. She hated everyone in her dad's life. Her dad was the worst, which, honestly, let's just wrap back around to this. All the parents in this book suck dads. They should not have children. They should not have children. And, like, no wonder all the kids just think, a magical pair of pants will fix all my problems, because they don't have good authoritative figures in their life to show them how to cope. Like, I'm sorry, but they don't. Yeah. And then also, Lena, I'm sorry. She's so boring, and she never really quite got a character arc. She was still, at the end of the book, just the pretty girl and a boring personality.
She, kissed a guy and was like, I could love.
I could love. Also, that was kind of different than the movie. Like, you actually see their love story a little bit, whereas this one's like, oh, they just kiss, and then bye.
I'm like, girl, that ain't love. That is lust.
That is called lust. Welcome to actually being a teen. Just kidding.
Yeah. But that ain't love, my honey.
Yeah. So, lots of issues. And again, we are fully aware, everyone, this is fiction. But come on now. If teens are reading this, like, this is not the type of thing you want them to learn. Like, oh, I can also fly to Baja to save my friend. Like, no, these are not therapy. Oh, I am mad at my dad. I'm gonna throw a rock through. Like,
yeah, that, and like, you can't. I don't know. I feel like every one of these characters is displaying something so bad. Like, Carmen is the queen of running away from her problems. Mm-hmm. Like, she does not confront it at all. Then you have Lena, who just disassociates from the entire world forever. And you have Bea, who just constantly tries to fill her time with things because she cannot feel full doing anything else. And then you have Tibby, who is crying desperately out for help, and none of her friends are coming to her aid.
No one is hearing.
And, like, also, like, she has to become a parent. Mm-hmm. In her, we also didn't talk about this. She's, like, has to become a parent in her life because her mom and dad had kids after her. Which also, like, you got to feel bad about that, because they were like, we had you and it was kind of a trial run, but now we actually do want kids.
Yeah, and then they finally got their life together once the other kids were born. I was like, Tibby.
And you have her taking care of her young siblings, and then she's taking care of her friend who has cancer, and then who's younger than her, almost like a parental type figure. Mm-hmm. And she loses, like, and she dies. Yep. So it's like, that's fucked.
Tibby definitely, one, she had the best character arc. She actually learned a lot from Bailey. But also, man, she went through some shit. Her behavior was the only one that I was like, that's justified. Actually, maybe Bea. Bea's a little bit. But, like, I'm just sitting there like, she didn't wash her hair for days. Her hair was so greasy, and the only person that even thought to check on her was the guy she thought she had a crush on. But then she realized, oh, actually, I don't really like you. You know, I'm just like, this is so sad. This is bad parenting. Gotta show up for your kids.
Oof. Yeah.
Coming from brutal. Two non-parents, but it's fine. Take it with a grain of salt.
I think this book was so great of its time. And it did a lot in its time, had the cultural moment that it had. But this is one of those we can just let go.
Didn't age well. Didn't age super well.
Didn't age well, I will say.
We'll
So anyways,
keep
we
it in the
can,
past.
anything else? Anything else you want to point out, or should we just get to final ratings?
I just feel like we've really already word vomited. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
I feel like Abby and I are just realists here. And so this book is not for the realists.
It's just not anyone with a brain. Like, I'm sorry if that is harsh, but like if you think through any of this, you're like, okay, doesn't work there for me.
Yeah, it is tough. It's like, it's almost as if like Euphoria tried to like if Euphoria was produced by Disney almost. And so it's like kind of trying to take the darker side of being a teen, but like you can't go too dark.
Can't go too it's just a little touch. Yeah, that's true.
And that's what we got. And it's not great.
That is the perfect way to say that. Yep. If Disney were to try to do Euphoria, that is what the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants is.
Well, all right, final ratings. We actually have the same answer here,
which is hilarious. Just a little bit of a twist.
Yeah, never happens on this podcast, and it's happened 2 days in a row now. Wow. 3 out of 5 for me. Again, I said nostalgia at its finest. Loved reliving the glory days with this book. I remember watching this movie on repeat. We had it on DVD. It was great, but like reading it just really honestly took me back. And it was fun to read it because like I had watched the movie, I never actually read the book, so it was fun to kind of get a little bit more into their stories and a little bit more into that world. But I will say, I think it, though it displays female friendships, and I do think it, I said at the beginning toxic friendships, but they're actually not that bad. They're fairly supportive of one another. The Tibby of it all makes me doubt their friendships, and Carmen coming in hot and Tibby being like, I don't have the emotional capacity for you. And then Carmen just getting butthurt about that. But I think like the female friendships is great. It worked for 2001. There's so much wrong with this book. It just did not age well in the slightest for me. And so now being older, I just see through all the holes. But easy read and nostalgic. So it gets a 3.
Yeah, so I gave it a 3 too. I think the only thing that made reading this book actually worth it is seeing kind of how they all became friends. It gave more of the background of the moms, which I actually thought was super interesting. They met in basically like a birthing pregnancy class, didn't they? And then it's funny because their friendship did not stand the test of time, but the girls did somehow. So like I think that was kind of worth it. I was like, oh, how interesting. I never even thought about how they all became friends.
Yeah.
Kind of liked that. And this was one of my favorite movies when I was younger. I wanted to be Blake Lively. So I was like, of course, this is going to be such a phenomenal book. I'm just going to be honest with you. It tried to tackle a lot of issues that I think it would have done the issues more justice had they just not covered it. Which is harsh to say, but like if you're going to do it, you got to do it right. Again, very quick read if you need to get back into reading. Would recommend. I actually enjoyed it more as an audiobook. I don't think I would have enjoyed it had I actually read it. But I think that I read this book and actually ended up having more questions than when I started. So I didn't hate it, but definitely not something I'm like, oh, I definitely want that on my bookshelf in case I ever want to reread it. Like never again. Yeah.
I will say it's a great book club read. We've been having a great discussion. This has been one of my favorite discussions. So I think if you want to read it with people, it's a fun one to read with people to really dive into the nitty gritty of this book.
I mean, it makes you think about it, right? And then it's kind of making you think about your friendships. You're like, oh shoot, did we do that? Or it also makes you rethink laundry day. Make sure it happens all the time.
Please wash your jeans, people. I understand that you don't need to wash them all the time or else that, damages the integrity. But for the
Magic
love
doesn't
of God,
wash out, okay?
yeah, and for the love of God, if you share pants, you're just begging for a yeast infection.
Yeah,
So,
nah, girl,
yikes.
don't do it. Don't do it.
Yikes. Alrighty, well, let's get into pairings. So we like to end our show with pairings, where Abby and I will pick a drink, TV show, other book, and movie that might pair well with today's read. So this one was fun.
Such a similar drink. That's hilarious.
Yes. So I said Dirty Shirley because Shirley Temple is what I had as a kid all the time, and it's very innocent. But then as you get older, add a little shot of vodka in there, and it's a Dirty Shirley. So
see, and which is funny because I thought the exact same thing. I was like, oh, I love Shirley Temples, and that's what this made me think of. I was like, I felt like I was 10 years old again. So instead of a Dirty Shirley, I'm just going with a straight up Shirley Temple. Give me that disgusting little cherry. Delicious.
Yeah.
This is literally what I put. I said LOL. I was just going to say a Shirley Temple since all the characters are literally children.
They are, and they should not be drinking.
Should not.
So.
Shirley Temple it is. Hey, but in Mexico they could be drinking. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's true. I just needed a Dirty Shirley to get through this book.
I understand. So. I understand. I was just my goal was just sugar coma. Done.
Sugar coma out. All right, TV show. I said Pen 15. This. Have you seen Pen 15?
I have no idea what that is.
Well, if you were in middle school and you were super adolescent, Pen 15 spells penis. So
that's hilarious.
But it's a TV show on Hulu, and they're two women, and they are like obviously in their late 20s, early 30s, but they're acting as middle schoolers. Like they're going back in time to their middle school years in the early aughts, and it's very awkward, very funny, and it's like their childhood is slightly older than ours, so it's like a millennial kind of look back, but there's so much to love about it, and like it definitely transports you back into like the awkward middle school years. So if you're looking for another kind of nostalgic coming of age story, that one, and it's very funny and it's very easy to watch in the sense that they're like short episodes, but it is not easy to watch in the sense it's so cringy. It like hurts.
We love that.
But it's very good.
Now that you say it, I know what it is. But yeah, definitely just based on Pen 15 would not have known what that is.
Yep.
Oh, that's hilarious. So I did The Sex Lives of College Girls, and the reason I chose that one is because it's the definition of a group of very, very different women coming together and somehow forming a friendship that is kind of unbreakable, and one of my all-time favorite shows. So yes. I think it's kind of more the 2000s version of the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. But they don't share the same pants every day, so.
So that's good. We learned.
Yes.
Awesome. I've heard good things about that show, so I need to watch it.
I would recommend highly. So good.
Okay.
Renee Rapp, we love her.
Oh yeah, that was like her debut.
Yes, it was.
So books. My pairing is Angus Thongs and Full Frontal Snogging. I had mentioned it earlier on in this episode, but I was obsessed with that series. I think there are 10 books. I read all 10 books. And like I'd go to my library, I'd pick it out and like pick 2 books at a time. It was so good. I absolutely loved it. Loved all the characters, but that's one too where you just need like awkward tween trying to navigate romance and like trying to navigate puberty. It's perfect. I love it.
Perfection.
What about you?
So I'm sorry, I just kept going on the friendship vibe, but it just really reminded me, especially Tully for some reason, in Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna, kept reminding me of Bee. Like just like a boss ass bitch who's not gonna take shit from anyone. Kind of goes too hard sometimes, and I don't know. It's like I just really like the theme of like unlikely friends, if that makes sense. And same with that. Like they're very like a shy girl with a very outgoing girl, and kind of how, you know, all four of the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants girls are. So
Yep.
Firefly Lane, Kristen Hannah, fantastic book, and a
Mhm.
good TV series as well.
Yeah. All right. So movie. I mean, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants movie.
Gotta
If you
do
want to
it.
go watch it,
Yep.
go do that. But also I went another movie that is of this time period and just so good. Lizzie McGuire movie.
Absolutely.
Also one that if you watch back, you're like, ooh, she's just going off with some Italian man, and she is probably what 16, and just frolicking through Italy with this Italian man, and the teachers aren't doing shit about it.
Just like
But
identity theft as well. Whatever.
yeah, identity theft. Her parents like have to buy last minute tickets to
Rome.
Europe.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. So, anyways, a lot of like things, but you do get the most magical music number ever in any TV or movie. So,
well, that goes along perfectly with my pairing because I did Sleepover with Alexis Penavega, who's also in Spy Kids. Holy moly, dude, that's the same thing. You're thinking, where are your parents? Why don't they realize that you escaped the house? But I love this movie. First of all, if you haven't watched it, it is a blast from the past. Like these 5 girls basically go on this huge scavenger hunt versus like this other group of girls during a sleepover, and they have to steal some guy's underwear. They have to like win prom queen or something like that. Like it's pretty epic. But yeah, all about friendship, all about just like crazy memories, and kind of reminded me of when the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants girls like would go into that sketchy little place with like the candles or whatever. Like I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Yes.
So yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think I may have seen that like once, but I was just looking at photos of it, and young Brie Larson is in there.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I forgot Brie Larson was in it. That's funny.
Oh my gosh.
Captain Marvel is in Sleepover.
That is wild. I'm obsessed. Okay,
Crazy.
we'll have to watch that. Alrighty. Well, what's up next? What do we got?
I'm kind of nervous about this one, Jenna.
I am too. So, Consider Me by Bella Mack. We're diving into hockey smut.
We have some concerns.
All right. Well, I'll read the summary here real quick. So, for a shot at love, he'll do whatever it takes. Carter Beckett is the NHL's best player, both on and off the ice. His career is at its peak. His friends are performing better than ever, and there's no shortage of women to spend the night with. What more could he want? Olivia Parker isn't new to professional hockey players thanks to her best friend's boyfriend, but she has no interest in dating one herself, no matter how hot he is. And anyway, she loves working as a teacher and hanging out with her best friend, drama free. Why would she want to spend her time stroking the ego of an arrogant athlete? But once Carter meets Olivia, he can't think of anything else. Too bad for him. Olivia is hell-bent on keeping him at an arm's length with no intention of giving into his charms. Perhaps it's time for Carter to give up his game. After all, nobody said he had to play fair. Sparks will fly as Carter does whatever it takes for Olivia to consider him.
Barf.
Yikes. So, do you think I'll recommend it?
No. I'm already not, like, I'm not going to lie to you. I've read a couple hockey romance. They are really hit or miss. Some of them are very good. Some of them are like, I can't believe I just wasted even a couple hours on that. But I just have a feeling I am not going to like this one. It sounds a little too much like a desperate play for her attention. And I don't feel like there's going to be enough, like, conflict. Like, it's a will they, won't they, not a, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with you type of thing. And then also, it cannot just be me that this sounds a little too much like a porno of the innocent school teacher.
Yeah, it 100% is.
Come on now. She's just a teacher who loves teaching kids. Like, No.
Yeah, they're always a teacher. They're always a teacher. Yeah, I will not recommend it. I can get if I do.
Let's place a bet. Just kidding.
Okay, if I do, I will take a shot on an Instagram.
Heck yeah. You heard it here, folks.
I'll go live and we'll take shots. But I'm sorry. I just can't. I can't. It's giving me like priest vibes already, and I think it's just going to be like that tip over the edge of like it's not cute. It's just like annoying.
Cheesy,
of like
gross,
how
disgusting.
It's just gonna be like very porno-esque, I feel like, and that's
I would agree with you there.
I need a little story with my sex scenes, please.
Yes.
So
you're asking too much for a smutty, steamy hockey romance, Jenna.
I know.
Your expectations are here. Knock them down a few, okay?
I'm trying, but also, yeah, I don't have high hopes, but we'll see.
Neither do I. We're in this together.
I'm ready to be proven wrong.
Heck yeah.
Well, that's our show. So next time, hockey smut after a tween coming of age.
Lovely.
Cheers.
Dink.
Well, that's the show. Thanks so much for listening. If you liked it, please go give it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to this episode right now. Leave us a review to tell us what you loved and what books you want us to review next. If you want more book-related content, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at RW Reads Podcast. That's at RWREADSPODCAST at RW Reads Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. Until next week, keep your books open and your drink glasses full. Thanks all. Red Wine Reads is a Just Better Media production. Each episode is produced by Jenna Weston and edited by Rayan Ashtar.